Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you're lying on the earth itself, not on a mattress or a bed frame, but directly on carefully arranged grasses that smell faintly of herbs. The ground beneath you is cool and firm. Above, through the mouth of a cave, you can see stars so bright they seem close enough to touch. Thousands of them scattered across the darkness like sparks from the fire crackling a few feet away. You're not alone. You can hear breathing all around you. The slow, steady rhythm of your family, your tribe, sleeping in a circle. Someone shifts nearby. A child murmurs in their sleep. An elder adds a branch to the fire, and orange light dances across the cave walls for a moment before fading back to embers. This is how humans slept for hundreds of thousands of years. Not in isolation, not under artificial light, not with minds racing about tomorrow's emails or yesterday's arguments, but here, in the dark, surrounded by others, connected to the earth and the sky and the rhythm of the sun itself. Tonight, as you listen to this, you're going to discover something that might change how you think about sleep forever. Because the truth is, those ancient humans, the ones we call cavemen, might have experienced the healthiest, most restorative sleep in all of human history. Better than ours, better than anything our modern world with all its technology and comfort can provide. And the question that keeps me awake at night is this: what did they know that we've forgotten? Before we begin this journey together, I want to invite you into this community. If you find yourself drifting off while listening, that's exactly what this is for. Subscribe so you can return night after night to these long explorations. And when you wake up tomorrow, I'd love for you to leave a comment telling me where in the world you're listening from and what time it is right now. There's something beautiful about knowing someone in Tokyo might be falling asleep while someone in London is just waking up, and we're all connected through these ancient stories. Now, let's step back in time. Let's walk into the cave. Let's discover what we lost when we built walls between ourselves and the night. Chapter 1. The Fire's Promise. Fire changed everything, not just for cooking or warmth, or keeping predators away, though it did all those things. Fire changed the night itself. It transformed darkness from an enemy into something humans could negotiate with, could push back against, could survive within. Picture the world before fire was tamed. When the sun set, humans like us would have huddled in whatever shelter they could find, pressed against each other, waiting for dawn. Every sound in the darkness was potential death. Every shadow could hide teeth and claws. Sleep would have been shallow, fragmented, terrifying. But then came fire, and with it came the first real sleep humans had ever known. Archaeological evidence shows us that our ancestors controlled fire at least 400,000 years ago, possibly much earlier. And from that moment, everything about human sleep began to change. The hearth became the center of human life, and around it, night after night, our ancestors discovered something remarkable. They discovered that fire created a bubble of safety in the darkness. Think about what fire provides. First, there's light, but not the harsh blue-white glare of modern LEDs or fluorescent bulbs. Fire gives off warm orange and red tones, the exact wavelengths that don't disrupt the body's production of melatonin. While our modern lights trick our brains into thinking it's still daytime, suppressing the very hormone that helps us sleep, firelight works with our biology, not against it. Scientists today spend millions developing lighting systems that mimic this natural spectrum, creating bulbs that shift from blue-white during the day to amber at night. Our ancestors had perfected this 400,000 years ago without even trying. But fire offered more than just compatible light. It provided psychological security that's almost impossible for us to understand in our locked homes with alarm systems and streetlights. When predators ruled the night, when lions and hyenas and wolves prowled in the darkness, that small circle of firelight represented the difference between life and death. Recent studies on modern hunter-gatherer groups show something fascinating. The presence of fire reduces nighttime anxiety so dramatically that it actually changes sleep architecture. People sleep more deeply, spend more time in REM sleep, wake less frequently. The fire doesn't just keep predators away physically, it calms the nervous system itself, allowing the brain to enter states of deep rest that would be impossible without that sense of safety. There's something primal in us that still responds to fire. You've felt it if you've ever sat by a campfire. The way your breathing slows, the way your shoulders relax, the way your mind becomes quiet, almost meditative. That's not just romantic nostalgia. That's your ancient brain recognizing safety, responding to a signal it evolved to trust over hundreds of thousands of years. Here's what I find most beautiful about this. Fire created time. Without fire, the day ended when the sun set. Period. There was no evening, no twilight hours of winding down. Just the harsh transition from day to night, from activity to terrified stillness. But fire stretched the day. It created a liminal space between full alertness and sleep, a time when humans could gather and talk and tell stories and process the day's events. Modern sleep scientists call this sleep hygiene, the importance of having a wind-down routine before bed. We're told to dim the lights, avoid screens, do calming activities. We buy special lamps and apps and meditation programs to recreate what fire gave our ancestors automatically. Around the fire they would have talked, shared stories of the day's hunt, warned children, about dangers, passed down knowledge from elders to youth. This wasn't just socializing, it was emotional regulation, community bonding, education, and sleep preparation all rolled into one natural ritual. And then gradually the fire would burn down. Conversations would fade to murmurs. People would lie down on their carefully prepared bedding. The last person awake would bank the coals, ensuring warmth through the night. And in that fading orange glow surrounded by their tribe, our ancestors would slip into sleep. Not fighting it, not staring at a ceiling, not lying awake with racing thoughts, just sleep, arriving like a tide, natural and irresistible. But here's the controversial question nobody wants to ask. Did we make a terrible mistake when we replaced fire with electric light? I know that sounds absurd. Obviously electric light is safer, more convenient, more controllable. Nobody wants to go back to depending on flames for illumination. But here's the thing, we didn't just gain convenience. We lost something profound. We lost the natural rhythm that fire created, the automatic wind down, the compatible wavelengths, the communal gathering, the psychological safety. We replaced something that worked perfectly with our biology with something that fights against it every single night. Think about your own evening. Do you gather with family around a warm, safe centre? Or do you scatter to different rooms, different screens, different artificial lights? Does your light gradually dim as you approach sleep? Or do you switch from bright lights to trying to force yourself unconscious? I'm not saying we should abandon electricity, but maybe, just maybe, there's something to learn from those cave-dwelling ancestors who somehow stumbled onto the perfect sleep environment. The fire's promise wasn't just warmth or safety, it was rest. Deep, natural, healthy rest. The kind our bodies were designed for. The kind most of us haven't experienced in years. And we're only just beginning to understand what we lost when we turned off the fires and turned on the lights. Chapter 2. The Circle of Warmth. Nobody slept alone. Let me say that again, because it's so alien to our modern experience that it's hard to wrap your mind around. For the vast majority of human existence, nobody slept alone. Not adults, not children. Not unless something had gone terribly wrong. Sleep was communal, always, and that fact alone might explain why prehistoric humans slept better than we do. Archaeological sites tell us the story. When we excavate ancient living spaces, we find hearths surrounded by circular sleeping areas. Not individual rooms or separated spaces, but shared areas where entire groups bedded down together. The evidence shows up in wear patterns on cave floors, in the distribution of bedding materials, in the arrangement of artifacts. They slept in what researchers call sleeping huddles, groups of anywhere from 10 to 30 individuals arranged. Around a central area, families clustered together, children nestled between parents, elders positioned near the warmth. Young adults on the outer edges unconsciously forming a protective barrier. This wasn't just about warmth, though in cold climates that was certainly important. This was about something deeper, something our modern isolated sleeping arrangements have completely abandoned: the profound psychological safety of sleeping in a group. Modern neurosciences discover something remarkable. When humans sleep near people they trust, their nervous systems actually change, cortisol levels drop, heart rate variability improves, the brain enters deeper sleep stages more quickly. The amygdala, that ancient alarm system deep in the brain that's constantly scanning for threats, actually calms down when it detects the presence of trusted others nearby. Your brain is literally calmer when you're not alone. Think about what this meant for our ancestors. Every night, as they lay down to sleep, they were surrounded by sounds and sensations that told their nervous systems, "You are safe, you are not alone, others are watching, you can truly rest." The breathing of others nearby, the small sounds of shifting and settling, the knowledge that if danger came, someone would wake, someone would alert the group. Sleep wasn't a vulnerable state you entered in isolation. It was a collective act, a shared surrender to rest that was only possible because of the group. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers have documented something fascinating they call sentinel behavior. In these groups, sleep isn't synchronized the way we might expect. At any given time during the night, about 1/3 of the group is awake or in light sleep. Not because they are assigned to guard duty, but naturally because human sleep cycles stagger automatically in group settings. This creates what amounts to an organic alarm system. The group as a whole is never completely unconscious. Someone's always aware, always listening, always ready to raise an alarm. But no single individual has to sacrifice their sleep. The burden of vigilance is distributed across the entire community. This might explain one of the biggest mysteries of modern sleep, why so many of us wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. with racing thoughts and anxiety. We call it insomnia, we treat it as a disorder. But what if it's actually an ancient survival mechanism, a built-in tendency to wake during the night and check for threats? In a group setting, you'd wake up, listen for a moment, hear the breathing of others around you, sense that all was well, and drift back to sleep. The whole cycle might take 30 seconds, but alone in a modern bedroom you wake up to scents and darkness. Your brain has no reassurance. So instead of drifting back to sleep, you start to think, to worry, to spiral. The same biological mechanism that would have kept your ancestors safe instead keeps you awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why you can't sleep. Here's the really controversial part. We might have made ourselves sick by the choosing to sleep alone. I know that sounds extreme. We value privacy and independence. We build houses with individual bedrooms. We consider it a milestone when a child transitions to sleeping in their own room. But what if this entire approach goes against something fundamental in human biology? Studies show that people who sleep alone report higher rates of insomnia, anxiety, and depression than those who share sleeping spaces. Children who co-sleep with parents show more secure attachment and better emotional regulation. Adults in relationships where they sleep together, not necessarily romantically, just in proximity, have better cardiovascular health and longer life expectancy. The evidence is actually quite clear: humans sleep better together. But we've built an entire culture around sleeping apart, and then we wonder why we're all exhausted. Now, I'm not suggesting we all need to return to sleeping in tribal huddles of 30 people. That's neither practical nor desirable in our modern world. But maybe we need to question the assumption that isolated sleep is somehow better or more mature or more civilized. Maybe the reason you sleep better when your partner is next to you, or why your child wants to climb into your bed, or why you feel calmer sleeping with a pet nearby isn't weakness or dependency. Maybe it's your ancient brain recognizing what it's been looking for all along: the circle of warmth, the presence of others, the deep biological safety that comes from not being alone in the dark. Our ancestors knew this instinctively. They built their entire sleep environment around it, and night after night, surrounded by their tribe, they experienced rest that most of us have never known. The circle of warmth wasn't just about temperature, it was about belonging, trust, and the most fundamental truth of human existence: we were never meant to face the night alone. Chapter 3: When Darkness. True darkness doesn't exist anymore. Not for most of us, anyway. Even in the middle of the night, there's the glow of a streetlight through the window, the LED on your phone charger, the digital clock by your bed, the standby light on your TV. We live in a world where darkness has been nearly eliminated, replaced by a constant low-level light pollution that our ancestors would have found utterly alien. But for hundreds of thousands of years, when the fire burned low, darkness was absolute, complete, total. The kind of darkness where you literally cannot see your hand in front of your face. And in that darkness, something remarkable happened. The body knew exactly what to do. Modern sleep science has discovered that even the tiniest amount of light at night can disrupt sleep. A study published in Current Biology found that people exposed to even dim light while sleeping had significantly disrupted sleep architecture, less time in slow-wave sleep, and increased nighttime awakenings. Light as dim as a single candle flame can suppress melatonin production by up to 50%, but our ancestors had none of this. When the fire burned to embers, their sleeping space descended into a darkness so complete that the pineal gland could do its work without any interference whatsoever. Melatonin flooded their systems, powerful and unrestricted. Sleep came not as something to be achieved, but as something that simply happened, triggered by darkness as automatic as breathing. There's something else that happened in that darkness, something we've almost completely lost. Humans became intimately familiar with the night sky. When you can't see your hand in front of your face, but you look up and see the Milky Way stretching across the heavens, thousands upon thousands of stars visible in a display that most modern humans will never witness, something happens to your sense of place in the universe. You become small in a way that's actually comforting. Your problems become right-sized. Archaeological evidence suggests that astronomical observations were important to prehistoric peoples, not just for navigation or tracking seasons, but as part of their cosmology, their understanding of existence. And much of this observation would have happened at night, lying on their backs, waiting for sleep to come, watching the slow wheel of the stars overhead. Imagine the stories they told about those stars, the patterns they saw, the meaning they derived. And imagine how that sense of connection to something vast and eternal might have calmed the mind. prepared it for rest, given context to the struggles of daily survival. Today, we lie in bed and scroll through news feeds filled with anxiety and anger. They lay in their sleeping circles and watch the cosmos slowly rotate above them. Which do you think led to better sleep? But darkness held something else too. Fear. Let's be honest about this. The darkness that brought such perfect conditions for sleep also concealed genuine dangers. Predators with better night vision than any human, threats that could approach unseen and unheard until it was too late. The darkness that triggered healthy melatonin production also triggered very healthy fear. And here's what's fascinating, that fear might have actually improved their sleep quality. I know that sounds contradictory. How could fear improve sleep? But stay with me on this. The fear of nighttime predators wasn't the chronic, abstract anxiety that keeps modern people awake. It wasn't worry about job performance or financial stress or relationship problems. It was immediate, concrete, and most importantly, it was resolved by the group's protective arrangements. You were afraid of lions in the dark. The fire kept them at bay and your companion slept in shifts. Threat acknowledged, countermeasures in place, fear resolved. This allowed for what psychologists call healthy anxiety, the kind that motivates protective action but then dissipates once those actions are taken. Compare that to modern anxiety. We lie awake worrying about things that might happen next month or next year, problems we can't solve at 2 a.m, threats that are often abstract or imaginary. Our fear has no resolution, no countermeasure, no endpoint, so it circles and circles, keeping us awake, because our brain is designed to stay alert in the presence of unresolved threats. Cavemen's fear was more intense, but also more manageable. Once the fire was built and the group was settled, the fear had done its job. Sleep could come. Here's the question that haunts me. Have we traded physical dangers we could protect against for psychological dangers we can't escape? Our ancestors had genuine threats but effective solutions. We have imaginary threats and ineffective anxieties. They slept in dangerous environments but with profound security. We sleep in safe environments but with profound insecurity. The darkness spoke to them, yes. It told them about dangers and challenges, but it also told them about stars and seasons and the vastness of existence. It triggered biological processes that brought deep rest. It created conditions where the only sensible response was to huddle close, trust your companions, and surrender to sleep. What does our modern pseudo-darkness tell us? That we should check our phones one more time? That we should lie awake wondering about things we can't control? That we're safer alone but somehow more anxious than ever? When darkness spoke to our ancestors, it spoke a language their bodies understood. When they lay down at night, they weren't fighting their environment. They were aligned with it, moving with it, responding to signals that were ancient and true. And in that alignment, they found rest that most of us are still searching for. If you're enjoying this journey into the ancient world of sleep, consider hitting that like button. It helps others find these long, calming explorations. And I promise there's so much more to discover about why our ancestors might have slept better than we ever will. Chapter 4: The Weight of the Sky. Have you ever felt the weight of the sky? Probably not if you're living in a modern city. The sky disappears behind light pollution and air pollution, reduced to a vague greyish backdrop we rarely think about. But for our prehistoric ancestors, the sky wasn't backdrop. It was presence, weight, mystery, power, and it shaped their sleep in ways we're only beginning to understand. Every night, lying in their sleeping circles, our ancestors experienced something that most humans today will never know: a truly dark sky filled with stars. Not dozens of stars, not even hundreds, thousands. The Milky Way visible as a glowing river of light overhead. Planets bright enough to cast faint shadows. Meteor showers like storms of light. And that experience changed them. Modern research in environmental psychology has found that exposure to natural wonders creates what researchers call awe experiences, moments where we feel connected to something larger than ourselves. And these awe experiences have profound effects on mental health. They reduce anxiety, decrease inflammatory markers in the body, increase feelings of connection and meaning, and yes, improve sleep quality. Our ancestors didn't need to seek out awe experiences. They lived beneath them every single night. Think about what this means for sleep. Today, the last thing many of us see before closing our eyes is a screen filled with trivial information or anxiety-producing news. The last thoughts in our heads are about work deadlines or social media drama or whatever problem we're churning over. Our ancestors' last sight before closing their eyes was often the cosmos itself. Their last thoughts might have been wonder at the vastness above them, or questions about the mysteries they saw, or stories about the patterns in the stars. Which mindset do you think leads to more peaceful sleep? But the sky didn't just inspire, it also regulated. The cycles of the moon had profound effects on prehistoric sleep patterns, effects that we've only recently begun to measure scientifically. Studies on indigenous peoples living without artificial light have found that their sleep patterns shift with the lunar cycle. During full moons, they sleep less but wake more rested. During new moons, they sleep more deeply and longer. This isn't superstition, it's biology. The moon's light, even diffused through clouds or forest canopy, is enough to affect melatonin production and circadian rhythms. For our ancestors, the moon wasn't just a light in the sky. It was a biological clock that their bodies automatically synchronized with. Modern humans have disconnected from this cycle entirely. We sleep the same hours regardless of the moon phase, fighting our own biology with blackout curtains and alarm clocks. We wonder why some nights we feel restless for no apparent reason, not realizing that our ancient brain is responding to a full moon we can't even see behind city lights. Here's what really gets me. We've declared war on natural cycles and then act surprised when our sleep suffers. We've eliminated seasonal variation in sleep. We keep our homes at the same temperature year-round. We maintain the same schedules regardless of whether the sun sets at 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. We've flattened every natural rhythm that our bodies evolved to follow, and then we buy pills and devices to fix the sleep problems we've created. Our ancestors didn't have this problem. They couldn't flatten the cycles. They had to flow with them. And in flowing with them, their bodies remained synchronized with the natural world. In winter, when nights were long and dark, they slept more. Not because they were lazy, but because their bodies responded naturally to extended darkness. In summer, when daylight stretched late into the evening, they stayed, active longer and slept less. Again, not by choice, but by biological response to light. And their bodies were healthier for it. Modern research shows that people living in regions with strong seasonal variation who actually adjust their sleep schedules accordingly have better metabolic health, stronger immune systems, and lower rates of depression than those who maintain rigid schedules year-round. The sky taught our ancestors to be flexible, to bend with the cycles, to rest when darkness called for rest and wake when light called for waking. We've unlearned that lesson, declaring ourselves independent of such primitive constraints. But our bodies haven't unlearned it. They still respond to light and dark, to seasons and moon phases, to the ancient rhythms we've tried to eliminate. The difference is that now those responses are in conflict with our artificial schedules, creating a constant internal battle that expresses itself as insomnia, fatigue, and sleep disorders. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The weight of the sky wasn't burden, it was guidance. Our ancestors slept under that weight, not fighting it but accepting it, letting it shape their rest in ways that were natural and healthy. We've removed the weight of the sky, replaced it with artificial ceilings and controlled environments. We thought we were gaining freedom, but maybe what we actually lost was the very thing that could have guided us to better rest. The sky is still there, of course, still cycling through its phases, still following its seasons, still offering its mysteries to anyone who looks up. But how many of us ever do? How many of us have any idea what phase the moon is in right now, or which constellations are overhead, or when the sun will set tonight? We've disconnected from the sky, and in doing so we've disconnected from one of the most powerful regulators of healthy sleep our species has ever known. Chapter 5. Bodies that remembered. Your body remembers, even though you've never slept in a cave, never gathered food for hours under the hot sun, never walked 20 miles in a day just to survive. Your body remembers. The same biology that regulated your ancestors' sleep cycles is still running inside you right now, trying desperately to do its job despite the completely unnatural environment we've created, and that disconnect might be making you sick. Let's talk about what prehistoric bodies did every day. From dawn to dusk, they moved. Not exercise in our modern sense of scheduled gym sessions, but constant, varied, functional movement. Walking, carrying, digging, climbing, squatting, lifting, reaching. Hour after hour, day after day. Archaeological evidence from skeletal remains shows extraordinary musculature and bone density, particularly in the lower body. These were not sedentary people having occasional bursts of activity. These were bodies in constant use, burning thousands of calories daily just to meet basic survival needs. By nightfall, they were physically exhausted in a way most modern humans never experience. Not the exhausted feeling you get after sitting at a desk all day. That's mental fatigue masquerading as physical tiredness. Real, genuine body-level exhaustion, where muscles are depleted, energy reserves are used, and every cell in your body is screaming for rest and repair. And when bodies are in that state, sleep isn't optional, it's irresistible. Modern sleep science has confirmed what seems obvious. Physical activity during the day dramatically improves sleep quality at night. It increases time spent in slow-wave sleep, that deepest stage where the body does its most important repair work. It reduces sleep onset latency, the time it takes to fall asleep. It decreases nighttime awakenings. It makes everything about sleep better. Our ancestors didn't need studies to tell them this. Their lifestyle automatically provided the perfect amount and type of physical activity to optimize sleep. They couldn't have sabotaged their sleep with sedentary behavior even if they'd wanted to. But it wasn't just movement. It was also what they ate, and more importantly, when they ate. Without processed foods, refined sugars, or caffeine, their bodies maintained remarkably stable blood sugar throughout the day. No spikes and crashes, no jittery energy followed by exhaustion. Just steady, sustained energy that gradually depleted over the course of the day. And they ate during daylight hours, because that's when you can see your food and prepare it safely. By nightfall, digestion was largely complete. Their bodies could dedicate full resources to sleep rather than working overtime to process a heavy meal or late-night snacks. This created what scientists call metabolic alignment, when your eating patterns synchronize with your circadian rhythms. Modern research shows this alignment is crucial for healthy sleep. people who eat late at night have worse sleep quality, less time in deep sleep, and higher rates of sleep disorders than those who finish eating several hours before bed. Our ancestors achieved perfect metabolic alignment without trying. We achieve perfect misalignment despite spending billions on dietary advice. Here's what really fascinates me. Their bodies were literally different from ours at the cellular level. Studies on modern hunter-gatherers show they have different gut microbiomes than industrialized peoples, different inflammatory markers, different hormone profiles. These aren't genetic differences, they're environmental responses. Put a modern human in a hunter-gatherer lifestyle and within months, their biology starts to shift. And many of these biological differences directly affect sleep. The gut microbiome influences melatonin production. Inflammatory markers affect sleep quality. Hormone profiles determine how easily we fall asleep and how deeply we rest. Prehistoric humans weren't just sleeping in better environments. They were biologically optimized for sleep in ways we're not, simply because their daily lifestyle automatically created the conditions for healthy rest. Now here's the controversial question. Are we biologically mismatched with modern life in ways that make good sleep nearly impossible? There's a growing field of study called evolutionary mismatch theory that suggests many modern health problems stem from this disconnect between our ancient biology and our modern environment. We have Stone Age bodies trying to function in a Space Age world, and the friction is making us sick. Nowhere is this more apparent than in sleep. Our bodies evolved expecting vigorous daily movement. We give them chairs and cars. They evolved expecting natural light cycles. We give them artificial light 24/7. They evolved expecting communal sleeping. We give them isolation. They evolved expecting natural foods eaten during daylight. We give them processed foods and late-night snacks. Every single aspect of our modern lifestyle contradicts what our biology is prepared for, and then we act shocked when we can't sleep. But here's the hopeful part. Bodies remember, and bodies can adapt. You can't return to prehistoric life, obviously, but you can work with your biology instead of against it. More movement during the day, more natural light exposure, especially in the morning, less artificial light at night, eating earlier, sleeping near others when possible. Simple changes that align modern life a little more closely with what your body remembers. Because that's the secret our ancestors knew without knowing they knew it. The body isn't the enemy of sleep. The body wants to sleep. It's designed to sleep. You just have to stop fighting it and let it do what it's been trying to do all along. Their bodies remembered how to sleep because they lived in a way that supported sleep. Our bodies remember too. We've just forgotten how to listen. Before we continue deeper into this story, I want to invite you to share this video with someone you know who struggles with sleep. Sometimes the most valuable gift we can give someone is permission to rest differently. Drop a comment too. I read every single one, and there's something special about building this community of people from around the world, all seeking better sleep. Chapter 6: The Rhythm of Seasons. Imagine sleeping differently every single night, naturally adjusting to the world around you without ever thinking about it. Sounds impossible in our rigid modern schedules, doesn't it? But for our ancestors, flexibility wasn't optional, it was survival, and it might have given them the healthiest sleep advantage of all. The prehistoric world was not a climate-controlled environment. There were no thermostats set to 68 degrees year-round. No consistent 8-hour schedules regardless of whether it was summer or winter. Life expanded and contracted with the seasons, and sleep expanded and contracted right along with it. In the depths of winter, particularly in higher latitudes, nights could stretch for 14 or even 16 hours. That's an enormous amount of darkness. And our ancestors didn't fight it with artificial light and rigid wake times. They surrendered to it. They slept more, not just a little more, potentially several hours more per night during the darkest months, punctuated by wakeful periods where they tend fires, talk quietly, or simply rest in the darkness. This pattern is called biphasic or polyphasic sleep, and it was likely the natural human pattern for millennia. Historical records from pre-industrial Europe describe first sleep and second sleep, the practice of sleeping for several hours, waking for an hour or two in the middle of the night, then sleeping again until dawn. During that wakeful interval, people would talk, pray, tend to household tasks or engage in intimacy. It was seen as completely normal, not insomnia. Archaeological evidence suggests prehistoric humans likely followed similar patterns, especially during long winter nights. They'd sleep until the fire needed tending, wake to add wood and perhaps have a quiet conversation, then sleep again until dawn. This wasn't disrupted sleep, it was natural human sleep, responsive to the environment. But here's what we've lost. We've pathologized this pattern entirely. If you wake in the middle of the night today, you're told you have insomnia, you're given medication, you're taught to be anxious about it, which of course makes it worse. But what if that middle of the night waking isn't a disorder at all? What if it's your ancient sleep pattern trying to assert itself, and the only problem is that our culture has decided it's wrong? Summer brought the opposite pattern. Short nights, long days, intense activity during extended daylight hours. Our ancestors likely slept less during summer, perhaps 6 hours at night supplemented with midday rest during the hottest hours. This wasn't sleep deprivation, it was adaptation. Their bodies responded naturally to longer light exposure, shifting hormones and energy accordingly. The Mediterranean siesta isn't some lazy cultural quirk. It's an ancient adaptation to hot climates that makes perfect biological sense. During the heat of the day, when hunting or gathering becomes